Have you ever been told by the narcissist that you're the abusive one, that you're the one with an anger problem? And maybe they even put it this way, you're just impossible to deal with. I bet that sounds familiar. Maybe it happened after you raised your voice or you finally said, I've had enough of this. Either way, it's the most painful, disorienting tactic in narcissistic abuse. When the narcissist flips the script and says that you're the one doing the harm, it's brutal. So today we're going to talk about what's really going on when the narcissist weaponizes your reaction and tries to rewrite the story. Now, we already know that narcissistic abuse is subtle, it's emotional, psychological, a slow erosion of your sense of reality. You know, you feel dismissed, blamed, provoked, and invalidated. And eventually you're going to react. Maybe you raised your voice. Who knows? Maybe you even cried or you broke down because you couldn't take the gaslighting one more minute. So what happens after that? What happens next? The narcissist is going to seize the moment, not to reflect on their own behavior, certainly not to apologize, but to turn it around and say, see how mean you are? You are abusive. You're the one who's always starting the fight. Now, of course, they're going to skip over everything that happened up to that point. They're just going to focus on your response. It's really a form of entrapment, plain and simple. And when they do it, it hurts so much. This kind of emotional role reversal does something devastating. It makes you doubt your own goodness, doesn't it? Especially if you're empathetic, introspective, you will start to ask yourself, well, am I really the problem? I mean, you're considerate. You're running all this through your mind again, wondering if you did overact. And now instead of feeling heard and safe, you're apologizing for being hurt. You're walking on eggshells around your own feelings. The narcissist effectively has taken your reaction, ripped it out of context, and has held it up to you as the entire story. And in doing that, they've robbed you of one of the most important things that you need, your clarity. And here's the really dangerous part. If they succeed, once the narcissist makes you feel like you're the problem, you start to rely more and more on them for their version of reality. Now, what that does is harmful. It leads you to stop trusting your own instincts and your own memories. And why that's so awful is eventually you turn to the narcissist for the very validation they're denying you. And that's how they tighten their grip on you, not through force, but through confusion. You're someone who cares deeply, and my guess you are. You're someone who really wants to grow, to reflect, to become the best version of yourself. Then you even become more vulnerable to this kind of emotional twisting. Because when someone who you love tells you you're the problem, likely you're not going to get defensive. You're going to look inward. You're going to try to understand what they're talking about. You take what they say seriously. And the narcissist sees that and knows it. They see your empathy and they see your heart. They've trained you to take responsibility for their bad acts. Then they further exploit you for your goodness. And that's what makes this so extraordinarily cruel. Your desire to be kind, understanding, and just a good person gets turned into a weapon against you. So let's name it for what it is. This is emotional abuse. It's gaslighting. It's projection. It's manipulation. The narcissist isn't traumatized by your reaction, even if you yelled. They are using it to escape accountability. And this is important. They're trying to make you believe that your reaction to their abusive behavior is abuse. How twisted is that? Reacting to their abuse is not abuse. So don't let the narcissist rob you of your own feelings or mute your voice. That is abuse on top of abuse, isn't it? You are allowed to hit your limit and say no more. I know you may be thinking that your reaction wasn't the best. Maybe you yelled at them and even said something in frustration that you regret. But that reaction was born out of pain. And that's not the same thing that the narcissist is doing to you. It's not the same thing as a pattern of control. I hope you see that. And I believe that the narcissist knows the difference, but it's so important to them to protect themselves, even if it means hurting you. They may even push you until you end up apologizing. Another twisted and harmful act to keep inflating their ego. If you've ever found yourself apologizing just to keep the peace, if you've ever believed it was your fault for overreacting, I want you to hear this. You are not abusive. You are not unstable. And you're not too much. You are a human being. And what you're doing is you're responding to such a painful situation. The narcissist may never take off their mask. They may never see what they've done, but you can see it. And that's the beginning of your healing. You don't have to carry the weight of their projection anymore. You can actually lay it down and begin to believe in your own story again. How good is that? For those of you new to my podcast, I'm Kyle Hackley, attorney and author of Undercurrent, a story about Annie who, through her courage, escaped narcissistic abuse. But Annie isn't just one person in a story. Annie is anyone who has ever experienced narcissistic abuse. And Are You Annie is a space to hear you, to validate you, and to walk this healing journey with you. And I want you to remember that you are stronger than you ever thought you could be. And I want you to be tenacious and never give up in what's important to you and what you believe in. Thank you for staying on this journey with me, and I'll see you next time.